Some people have one bank account and other people have like 12. Now, who is better organized? I'm not the one to answer that question because look, for real, I'm not here to judge anyone and personal finance is personal. Instead, in this video, what I want to do is help you get your finances a little bit more organized. I think this video can really help you out if you are constantly overwhelmed by your finances. Specifically, I want to cover both a mental framework for your finances as well as covering the types of accounts that you should have. For those new here, my name is Lissa Prudencio. Hello and welcome. I am a financial counselor and a personal finance expert who wants to see more women of color winning in finances and in life. So before y'all come at me, anyone is welcome here. I just need my fellow women of color to know that wealth includes you too. So how can you mentally approach your finances? How can you mentally organize your finances? What I often see is people trying to figure out which bank accounts should I open? How many should I even have? And then after opening those accounts, they try to figure out what that account is going to do and how they're going to use it. My 2 cents is that you should kind of think of it the other way around. I want you to first imagine all of the money you have in one big pile in front of you. Ask yourself, when am I going to need this money? Am I going to need some of it now, some of it for a vacation next year? And start to think about your money in that way. When are you going to use it? Now, to truly know when you're going to need your money, you're probably going to have to ask yourself, what am I going to use the money for? So there is a goal setting exercise that can happen before you even do the things in this video. Now, quick side note. If you struggle with living paycheck to paycheck, or you have very little to no savings, it's possible that that money pile we just talked about in front of you doesn't have a lot in it. So the answer to your question of when do you need to use that money is obviously right now. I want you to know that if this is your financial situation, it is okay. Your goal is that you work to get out of that situation over time. Now, before I start talking about types of financial accounts and giving you examples, here is my mental framework of how to organize your finances. I want you to think about it in 4 different buckets. You have 4 buckets that you need to put your money in. Number 1, your current needs. Your current bucket. This is stuff that you need to pay for immediately, which means expenses this month and theoretically even in the next 1 or 2 months if you can get ahead. The second bucket is your emergency savings bucket. When do you need this money? Well, obviously when there is an emergency. So even though you can't put a date or a time on it because who can really predict emergencies, what you want to do is earmark some money for when an emergency happens. This includes a loss of income if you get laid off, an unexpected medical emergency, and anything that's kind of unpredictable and just unfortunate in life. I don't wish any emergencies on anyone, but the truth is life happens. So this unique bucket of money is going to be your safety net as well as your peace of mind. All right, the third bucket of how to organize your finances mentally is your short-term savings. Think of this as money that you don't necessarily need immediately for paying your bills this month or next month, but it's money you might need within the next 5 years. Oftentimes, this can mean things like saving up for a car, a big vacation, moving to a new apartment, getting married, buying real estate, and other more expensive life things that just happen less frequently. And finally, the last bucket, number 4, your long-term savings and investments. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. Now, this is the money that you are not going to need for decades. It definitely includes retirement, but it can also be for those big life goals that don't have a specific timeline. For example, those things I mentioned in number 3 as your short-term savings, saving up for a car, a house, a wedding, whatever it is, those could also be considered long-term savings things if you don't need the money for 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20. If it's something that has a longer time horizon, then that's going to be part of your long-term saving strategy. Now, like I said earlier, whether or not you feel like you have enough money to put towards these buckets, that is okay. If you don't right now, the goal is that you will in the future. The most important thing that I want you to do is start having a plan for your money. And the more you get your financial foundations in place, the more you're going to be able to think about these other buckets. Now, for each of these 4 buckets, current, emergency, short-term, and long-term, let's talk about accounts. Where do you actually put the money? Now, quick disclaimer. Even though I am a financial counselor, I am not your financial counselor because I don't know your specific financial situation. So even though I'm sharing examples of accounts to consider, there's really no one-size-fits-all approach. All that said, let's talk about where to keep your money for current needs and spending. Bucket number 1, current spending. For money that you're gonna need immediately right now and even next month or so, you definitely want to keep it in an FDIC insured checking account. If you're not based in the US, then check to make sure that your bank account has deposit insurance. That's essentially what the FDIC insurance is. Now, the main benefits with a checking account is that your money is easy to access and it is safer than carrying around cash. The downsides with checking accounts are typically there is some kind of monthly fee, but banks usually offer ways to waive the fee if you fulfill certain requirements. Another downside is you don't really earn any interest on your money. What this means is you are losing value over time due to inflation. Your purchasing power goes down. Now, this is a normal phenomenon, but the whole goal is that you want as little money as possible to be losing purchasing power, which is why your current bucket is just supposed to be for money you need now and in the very, very near term. How many checking accounts should you have for your current spending? Most people can get away with 1 to 2. It really depends on how your finances are situated. Some people have joint finances, and some people like to compartmentalize their money and use different accounts for different things. One for all their regular recurring bills set on auto pay, and then another one for variable expenses like groceries and things like that. You just need to know that there is no right or wrong answer here. The main key is that you don't have so many checking accounts that you can't keep track of them, because the last thing you want to do is pay fees because you're overdrawing accounts or paying fees because you can't keep a minimum balance or anything like that. Just pick the number of accounts that works for your situation and for how your brain works. Now, last thing on the current money bucket, technically you can also carry a small amount of cash for cash purchases, since not all places take card, but for this bucket of money, your current spending, I definitely recommend a checking account. Moving on to bucket number 2, your emergency savings. Now, interestingly, there are actually a few options for this. The most popular place to keep your emergency fund money is one that I do also recommend, especially for beginners to finance, and that is a high yield savings account. So a high yield savings account is typically an online account, meaning there's not going to be in-person branches that you can walk to and deposit money or withdraw money. So what that means is it's usually going to require you to have at least one other bank account, like a checking account, because you're going to need an account that you can transfer money to and from. The main benefits of high yield savings accounts are they are typically FDIC insured, just like any other bank account should be, and they offer higher interest rates, which means you can make money from your money just sitting there. The downsides include this. Even though you can earn interest, the amount that you can make in a high yield savings account is typically not enough to beat inflation, which means your returns are usually not as much as when you invest the money. So again, we do want to park some money here because it's relatively safer, but you don't want all of your money here because you don't want to subject yourself to losing purchasing power. Another downside to high yield savings accounts is usually these accounts have limited features, such as no debit cards or check writing capabilities, and that's kind of the whole point. They keep it really low key on what they offer. They just want to offer a place you can park your money, and because they don't have to do a bunch for their banking division, that company's expenses are lower, which means they can give you a little more interest than a traditional bank. Now, all that said, if you are interested in other options for your emergency savings bucket, you can also look into the following. Number 1, certificates of deposit. Certificates of deposit are also known as CDs, not like CDs that you listen to, and no one's gonna understand that if you are like younger than 30 years old. But CDs are certificates of deposit, and what they are FDIC insured accounts that you get at a bank. When you put money into a CD, it technically locks up your money for a specific period of time, which means that there really is no benefit to using one unless the interest rate you're getting on it is higher than a high yield savings account, which it can be. Now, you might be like, why would I lock up my money if it's for an emergency? Well, there are strategies to making sure that you can always access some amount of money, such as using a CD ladder. But that's a story for another video. We don't got time for that today. All right, number 2, another option to keep your emergency savings besides a high yield savings account are money market accounts. Now, quick thing, don't confuse this with a money market fund or a money market mutual fund. They have similar names, but they are different things. Those two are investment accounts. Money market accounts, however, are FDIC insured accounts that some banks offer. You can kind of think of it like a hybrid of a checking and a savings account because you can earn interest in a money market account and it's also FDIC insured, and similar to a checking account, they sometimes offer check writing capabilities, aka you can use the account to pay bills. One downside is a lot of times there is a minimum balance required for this type of account. So always make sure you do your research and understand what the requirements are before you open an account. All right, on this bucket number 2, emergency savings, my 2 cents, put your emergency fund in a high yield savings account and call it a day. It'll be one account separate from everything else that you only touch for emergencies. I just wanted you to know that you have options and help show you that there are so many financial products out there that serve different purposes. By the way, if you want to learn more about building your emergency fund, check out my video up here. All right, let's move on to bucket number 3, which is your short-term savings. As a reminder, this is money that you either have now or that you will eventually be saving that you're not going to use immediately. Now, even though you're not going to use it in the next couple of months, you might use it within the next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. So generally, you want to use the same types of accounts that I just covered in number 2 for your emergency savings. This would include high yield savings accounts, certificates of deposit, and money market accounts. Are there other options out there? Yes, but the general rule of thumb for money you're gonna need in the next couple of years is you don't wanna invest it, you wanna keep it in an account that is FDIC insured. Now, how many accounts should you have for your short-term savings bucket? Like my answer for the last bucket, it really depends on how your brain works. There are some savings accounts that allow you to set up sub-accounts or even open multiple accounts where you can name different goals. And those would be best for people who need to compartmentalize their money. For example, Capital One 360 and Ally Savings. Now, I haven't tried those two, but I hear a lot of good things about them. For example, you don't want to put all of your vacation money in the same bucket as your saving for a car money because you might mix them up and you don't know how much is in which bucket. So instead, some people like to make sure there are clear lines. For me personally, I use the budgeting app You Need a Budget, YNAB, which means that technically I can keep all of my savings in one account because it's in the app where I do my compartmentalizing and save towards different goals. Now, if you want me to make a video on YNAB, let me know in the comments. It is one of my favorite apps, so happy to do that. All right, let's dive into the last bucket, number 4, where to keep your long-term savings money. Now remember, this is money that you're not gonna need for at least 5 years, if not longer. It's all gonna depend on your own risk tolerance. But generally, the longer the time frame you have between now and when you're gonna need the money, the less risky it's gonna be to invest the money. And that's mainly because you give your investments time to grow, and you also give your investments time to bounce back if the markets go down. What you don't want is to have to take your money out of an investment at an inopportune time because you need it and we're in a recession. So at the very least, I believe you should have 2 types of long-term savings accounts. One retirement account and one taxable brokerage account. Now, to clarify real quick, when I say long-term savings, please don't confuse that with a savings account at a bank. I know it's confusing because finance people like to use the same words for different things, but savings in this sense simply means you're saving money for the future. For most types of retirement accounts and for taxable brokerage accounts, what these accounts are investment accounts, not bank accounts. Let's briefly talk about retirement accounts. Now, for retirement accounts, there are so many types of accounts and variations that I can't and I will not cover them all in this video. Generally, there are accounts that you can only get if your employer sponsors them. For example, a 401k or a 403b or a 457b. And then there are accounts that you can get on your own like a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, and even some self-employed retirement account options. Generally, if you do have an employer-sponsored account available to you, like a 401k for example, and your employer offers a match, then you should definitely think about putting money into that to utilize the match, if not put more so that you can start saving for retirement. If you don't have one of those accounts available to you, then at least for beginners, look into IRAs to see which type is best for you. Now, the biggest reason to utilize a retirement account is that they come with tax advantages. This means paying less on taxes, whether that's now or in the future, it depends on the account. If these accounts didn't have tax advantages, then you wouldn't have to save for retirement in them. You could technically use a regular taxable brokerage account. Now, the main catch is that you can't access money in these retirement accounts without getting a penalty until you are 59 and a half. So unless you plan on not being around after age 59 and a half, then you definitely need to plan for retirement. And if you're able to, you want to utilize these tax advantage accounts. Now, aside from retirement accounts, at some point, even if it's not now, let's say your current spending and your emergency savings is a mess and not fully there yet, then I still believe that at some point you should start thinking about investing outside of retirement. So investing outside of retirement can mean things like buying real estate, but what I'm talking about here is investing in the financial markets, so like the stock market. The way to think about it is once your current spending situation is in control, so you're not paycheck to paycheck and you're starting to see that you have extra money every month, you want to make sure that your emergency fund is filled up. And that might take a while, but you want to start putting money to fill up that bucket. Once that bucket is full, you want to start putting all of your extra money towards your short-term savings because you want to make sure you have money to spend on the things that you want in life, and you don't want to go into debt every time those things come up. And then finally, once you have all of those things in place, now we are talking about really building wealth, which is your long-term savings plan, aka investing. Again, is confusing because we keep using the word savings, but long-term savings means investing. I'm not going to go in depth in this video about investing, but if you are ready and you want to start investing with a small amount, like $300, then you can watch this video up here. All right, we are not done yet. I want to call out one other special account that you can consider opening if it makes sense for you. And that account is an HSA, a health savings account. So here we are again with the word savings, even though we're not talking about a savings account. An HSA or a health savings account is typically an investment vehicle that's going to help you grow your money. The reason they are so great is they are considered to be triple tax advantaged. This means if you put money into an HSA and you end up using that money for qualifying health and medical expenses, then you're not going to pay taxes on any of that money ever, including any gains, investment gains that happen in your account. So HSAs can potentially be a really good wealth building tool because it's kind of inevitable that we are going to have medical expenses that we have to pay for sometime in life. Now, the reason I didn't want to bucket this special type of account into one of the buckets like current, emergency, short-term, or long-term is that technically when you use the money out of an HSA just depends. You can use that money now for medical expenses, but that kind of defeats the purpose of using the tax advantage on your investment gains. You can also use it for medical emergencies instead of pulling from your emergency fund. Or if you have very little medical expenses now and you really want to see that investment account grow, then you might not use it now and you might use it for the short-term or long-term savings. So yes, an HSA sounds really great. Triple tax advantage, you'll have money for medical expenses in the future. The catch, well, there's actually two catches. The one major catch is that you can't get one unless you have what is considered to be a high deductible health plan, meaning you're gonna be paying more for expenses up front right now this year if you have to go to the doctor or pay for any medical expenses. You're not gonna have insurance coverage until you hit this high deductible. So these health plans only make sense for people who either don't go to the doctor a lot right now, or maybe you have the cash to front those expenses now because you're confident that that long-term growth is going to outweigh the money you spend now. The second catch is because this is such a popular account and very tax advantaged, you can't even contribute a lot to it each year. These are the current contribution limits for 2024, which means that even if you have a high deductible health plan, which allows you to even get an HSA account, you can only put a certain amount per year, which means to really see the gains on this, it's gonna have to be like a long-term play. All right. I'm done talking about HSAs. They are just a nice little cherry on top if it works for your situation. All right, I hope that helped you organize your finances, at least in a way that you can approach them and think about them. And if not, ask your questions in the comments. Just let me know. I got you. All right, until next time, peace out.